Well, hi, everybody. Welcome into UnanchoredBoston.com with Bob Lobel and Mike Lynch. And we're so thrilled to have you with us. So much going on. We've got opening day, Bill Parcells, Bruins, Celtics, opening of Alice Cook we're going to talk about. And as always, we're brought to you by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're in New Hampshire, of course, and the great George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. Well, it's opening day, Bob, and you and I have been to countless opening days. Everyone is different. Everyone has a little bit of a flavor. I think we could thank the great Dr. Charles Steinberg for, just taking it to another level every single year. You never knew what was behind the curtain in left field until the person walked out, and it really was a special day, and it still is.
I can remember the first one that Dr. Charles, who is now with the Worcester Red Sox, the first one he orchestrated, along with the great Pam Ganley. I do remember that his idea was to bring out the champions of each team, whether it was the Celtics, Patriots, Bruins, and he combined those three, and they walked out of the field and brought their trophies, and it was an amazing event. And he's the one that kind of engineered the big flag coming down from the top of the screen, or what used to be the screen, and they put seats in, long overdue. So, yeah, Charles was a big motivator in that, Mike. You're absolutely right. But you can remember standing there when we were allowed to go down on the field and do interviews and all that stuff. It was kind of a different world back then, but opening day was a pretty exciting day in Boston, and still is, and it should be, no matter how the team works out.
I always said that they should make it a state holiday.
Yeah.
Everybody skips school. Everybody skips work. Whether you're going to the game or not, you could go someplace to watch the game. And, instead of some of the state holidays we have, I think this one would be as special as they come.
Look, why take away another holiday? Let's just add another holiday. We don't have to put it in place of someone. We never have enough holidays anyway. I mean, it's going to be one a week pretty soon. So I agree with you. It should have been stated, but that's beside the point.
When I can remember that he brought up when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, and I think 2002, and Dr. Charles brought out, he had to bring out almost the entire Patriots team. There had to be at least 40 guys that came from the left field wall, and they all walked in, and Lawyer Malloy had the trophy, and Troy Brown was there, Brady was a baby, and at home plate, there were like 30 or 40 guys who were catchers who were supposed to catch the first pitch. And I don't think all the guys are standing out the mound. They're pointing, am I throwing to you? Am I throwing to you? Am I throwing to you?
Right.
And they threw, and everybody just sort of ducked and turned their back. It was hilarious, but it was good theater.
Speaking of the Patriots, you as a member of the Patriots Hall of Fame committee, if there ever was a committee that did nothing or meant nothing, it's the Patriots Hall of Fame induction committee. Because it doesn't matter what you guys wanted, it was going to be whomever the Patriots, i.e. Robert Kraft, wanted to put in, got in, whether it was Tom Brady when he was done, or whether it was Bill Parcells after being snubbed for 5 times, with the excuse that the fans who supposedly had the final vote, and I just won't believe it till the day I die that really was the truth. I do not believe the fans kept Bill Parcells out of the Patriots Hall of Fame. I do not believe it. I will not believe it. And I also will believe that Kraft put Parcells in the Hall of Fame for one specific reason, and I want to know if you want to elaborate on that.
I think he put him in the Hall of Fame to enhance his chances of getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You and I certainly agree on a lot of things. This is one of them.
You know what bothers me about this is that Bill Parcells is going in as a contributor. Contributor, like that makes it sound like he was like an equipment manager. No disrespect, George Longo, by the way, is going in this year as to the Hall of Fame, and he was their equipment manager. But it makes it sound like he's some guy that stood on the sidelines, or gave
Where
all this.
he did the footballs. Right. He was right. He was a
And
good,
that really bothers me. Um,
yeah.
I texted Parcells after he get in to the Hall of Fame, and I didn't realize he was driving from Jupiter, Florida to Saratoga, and I kind of congratulated him. I kind of made a couple of wise guy comments about the whole process and everything else, and he just wrote back immediately, "Thank you." That was it, just thank you, and he knew. He knew if he gets started, like if he just uttered one sentence to me, it was going to go. He couldn't stop himself. And I don't think he knows what to do. I think he knows the right thing to do is accept the award, come in and smile, shake hands, post the pictures, and get the hell out of there.
And he sounds typical Parcellian. Why worry about it? I'm too old to worry about it. I'm too old to continue this bullshit fight and to harbor these grudges. If it's somebody else's grudge, it's their problem. Third Hall of Fame I got into, why not enjoy it? So he absolutely handled it and did it the right way, as he always did in most of these circumstances.
Yeah, but this contributor title or moniker that goes with it just really bothers me. He's a football coach.
Well, yeah, right. Okay, you're on the committee. Who else is a contributor? Who else has gotten in as a contributor?
Dante Scarnecchia.
Contributor. What's wrong with being off in the defensive coach of the year, for Christ's sake?
I know. That really bothers me. I was unable to attend the meeting this year. It was held on Thursday, which is today's Friday. We're talking about. So it was held actually yesterday, and I should look up the name of the people that are on it. Would you like me to do that, Bob?
If you'd like to, but what difference does it make? Because they're obviously, whatever they decide isn't going to really matter, except on paper. But sure, I would be interested to see who is.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, why don't you talk about things?
I thought it was. All right, like Joe Milton being traded to Dallas for a 7th-round pick. Come on. I thought that was. I think they gave him away. I thought Milton had a lot of potential.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe that was just one game that they didn't care about winning or losing, but at any rate, he looked pretty good. Okay. But 7th-round pick to Dallas, obviously thought they could have done better than that.
All right, you want to know the Patriots Hall of Fame nominating committee?
Yeah.
Okay, Ernie Adams.
Okay.
Ron Borges.
Yeah.
Bill Burt.
Yeah.
Steve Burton.
Yeah, of course.
Mark Capello.
Yeah.
Tom Curran.
Yeah.
Mark Farinella.
Yeah.
Karen Garigian.
Yeah.
John Henry, he's a official statistician. Fred Kurtz, Patriots.com. Brian Morey, Patriots Hall of Fame. Paul Perillo, Patriots.com. Phil Perry, NBC Boston. Chris Price, The Globe. Mike Reese, ESPN. John Rook, the PA announcer. Dante Scarnecchia. Alan Siegel. Bob Sochi, play-by-play. Butch Stearns, and Andre Tippett.
They're on the what? They're on the committee to what?
That's the nominating committee.
Okay, well,
that's so people get together and they nominate. They get up. They have the floor for however they want. And at the end, you hand it a ballot, and the ballot has 3 names on it. You list who's your first choice, who's your second choice, who's your third choice. They are all collected. They are given to Stacey James. And then he will announce probably today, maybe Monday, who the 3 finalists are. And then the 3 finalists go in front of the general public, and they will be voted on electronically. And I see what you're doing. You're yawning. Okay. But I'm asking how I'm telling you how it happens.
I know. Go ahead.
And then they one person gets in. And every once in a while, at the discretion of Robert Kraft, okay?
Shocking.
All right, so let me see who else would have been a contributor. Tom Brady get in, quickly.
Quick contributors.
Bledsoe, these are the finalists.
Well, you're not going to. I go back to the original premise that you hit on and hit the nail squarely on the head. The original premise being that Kraft put Parcells in because Parcells has many friends himself with the people that deal with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and which Kraft dearly wants to be in and has been frustrated by not being in. So this enhances his chances, if you will, to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Did you make that up? Enhances his chances?
No, I guess I did because I just was saying that. But yeah, it was kind of a.
That could be a bumper sticker. Enhance his chances.
I had a bumper sticker in my office that was about the Red Sox called "Not in Our Lifetime." Seriously, I had that bumper sticker made, but they proved me wrong. Not in our lifetime.
No, they did 4 times in our lifetime.
Yep, right. It's a bumper sticker, though.
So, how do you feel about this contributor?
I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why don't you just put him in as a coach or an attitude change? He would change the whole culture of the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
And Kraft didn't hire him. That's probably part of the problem. Orthwein hired him.
Otis.
Otis, my man from St. Louis. Yeah, Orthwein hired him, and Kraft didn't, and Kraft inherited him, and it just and they Parcells, he ought to be able to buy the groceries if he's going to have to cook the dinner, which is one of the great quotes of Boston sports, which I was thinking about last night. All the great quotes. Where does that stand in the great quotes of Boston sports lore? I know that Patino's is right up there.
Larry Bird's not walking through that door.
There's Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, and this is the Fellowship of the Miserable.
That is up there.
That is those 2 quotes, the Parcells and Patino.
Yep.
Are 2. I was trying to think of some other great quotes. I don't know. Grady Little had a pretty good one, but that was on the Netflix series when he said Saddam Hussein could get elected before I would in Boston or something like that.
Have another donut, you fat pig.
Yeah, but that was Schoenfeld and Koharski, but that was not a Boston thing. I agree with you.
All right, so here's something else I want to throw at you right here.
Okay.
So the contributors, there are 4 contributors in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
They are Billy Sullivan, Gil Santos.
Come on.
Tracy Sormonti, the late Tracy Sormonti, she was the head of the cheerleading coach, and Dante Scarnecchia and Bill Parcells as contributors. Don't you think that's a little bit of an insult to Dante and to Parcells? I mean, I can see Gil going in as a contributor, Tracy going in as a contributor, but you can't tell me that their contributions to the team were as valuable as Bill Parcells and Dante Scarnecchia's, with all due respect. So I don't want to get a bunch of emails now. I don't get a bunch of phone calls and everything knocking the crap out of those people. It's different. They should be in as offensive line coach emeritus and head coach emeritus. End of discussion.
No argument here. Totally agree with you. You're right. So that's just the way it is. But I just think it was so I couldn't believe it when I saw that Parcells was allowed the honor of being elected to the Patriots Hall of Fame as a contributor or whatever he was put in as.
Well, you can see the number of people who work for the Patriots that are on this committee. And over the years, when we would have discussions about, I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about this, but there was there was a little bit of a tug of war going on about Parcells, the way it pretty much was centered upon how his tenure ended here.
Yeah.
By going to the Jets and leaving unceremoniously. I'll leave it at that.
As Will McDonough broke the story when the Patriots were at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Just really, Will McDonough, I think Parcells, they all had the same agent who passed away in that plane crash with Payne Stewart.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there was a lot of media connections. Things were done a little differently, but it was Will McDonough, very close to Parcells. And, Parcells, I'll never forget that Super Bowl when the money shot, when Parcells and Kraft walked down the stairs together. It was like, Putin and Trump or Putin and Biden walking down the stairs together, seen actually in public, blah, blah, blah. It was, we called it the money shot, but that relationship was over. And Robert can be as, mean-spirited as he wants to be. And, I understand why. Parcells had reasons for leaving, and I suppose Robert had reasons for hating to see him go in that way, not being in control of that. But Robert wanted Terry Glenn, and Parcells didn't. So, that's started the grocery line, buy the groceries.
She's doing just fine, by the way.
Good one.
Another one. The first day of summer camp down in Smithville, Rhode Island, somebody said to him, "Geez, you look good, Bill. You've lost some weight, huh?" He goes, "I've lost weight. It's like throwing a deck chair up to Queen Mary." I lost about 6 pounds.
He was amazing.
Not playing golf anymore, by the way.
I didn't know.
It's just too bad. So he gets in a cart and he rides around the course, and all his guys. He calls them, they're not his buddies, his guys.
Yeah.
He's my guy, one of my guys. And, he just, you might put a wager on, I'll bet you $10 you're knocking it in the water here. And sure enough, somebody gets, I'm not going to knock it in the water. It's 140 yards. I got a 7-iron. Kerplunk. And Parcells
Saratoga for nothing.
Right. So yeah, one of the all-time greats. And
yeah, okay. I'm glad if he's happy, he's got in, and he takes it as an honor. Then good for him. But I don't think his life would have been enhanced either one way or the other. Look, if this is what Robert Kraft wants to use as a bargaining chip to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but call it what it is. More than one person, more than two people, you and I agree. Everybody else I've talked to about it seems to feel the same way, that there's only one reason why it happened. Not to take it away from Parcells. That's not the intention of our conversation here. It's all about what's going on the other side. But good luck to them. It's what they want. Hopefully they get what they want. As far as the Patriots go, I'm not sure they're going to get any much. We'll see what the draft brings. Everybody's talking about the draft. Nobody's talking opening day.
I just want to go back to opening day for a minute. A couple of other great ones. Remember when Bill Buckner came out of the left field wall by himself, and the place exploded?
Yes.
Exploded. It was basically, we're sorry. We apologize for all the grief. You were a great baseball player. You are a great guy. It's just the way we handle losing. Somebody has to be blamed around here all the time. You can't just lose. You have to be blamed. And the ball went through his legs, and he took full responsibility. But he also took a lot of heat. He had to move out of Andover. He moved to Idaho. And when they brought him back, I thought it was one of the great moves of all time.
I totally agree. And on his behalf as well.
Yeah.
on his behalf and his willingness to come back and face the music. He didn't have to come back and face the music. And it was great. You're absolutely right, Mike. That was a special day.
And then the Patriots came a couple of times. Gronkowski tackled Brady, or Brady tackled Gronkowski someplace, and I'm sure Belichick was, cringing when he saw that happening, separated shoulder or something else going down. But backstage, there's libations and everything. I'm sure they were, engaging, and it's really kind of cool when you see the players from two different teams, baseball players, and then you see them with hockey players or with football players or basketball players. There's kind of a common bond there. They don't run across each other that much because Foxborough isn't close to the Garden and there are different seasons, et cetera. It's really kind of cool to see. Bill Russell came out. That was awesome. Bill Russell and Orr and Pierce, and I forget who was the other. I think it was Teddy Bruschi. That was pretty cool. Almost as cool as that picture from the night you had Williams, Orr, and Bird on.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I'll never forget the post story to that is when Alan Miller and I went out to this bar after the show, after that Williams Orr Bird show. Alan Miller, the producer, and I went down to Boylston Street to a bar called Dad's, and there was a bachelorette party going on. I can't make this up. It's after Williams Orr Bird. We walk into the bachelorette party and they're dancing on the bar. Okay? Visualize this, right? And Alan turns to me and he said, "Lobie, I thought we had the greatest show in town." That was so wrong. That happened. That's the truth. He said, I thought our show was the best show in town today. How wrong I was.
We were wrong.
It was great. Those are the things I really miss more than anything. And the Bruins, I don't believe what's happened to the Bruins, and I don't know what to expect out of the Red Sox, but always this time of year, optimism seems to grow, and of course the Red Sox seem to. I'm watching the game on my phone right now, but this podcast will be dropped earlier, so I won't talk about it.
Are they winning?
1-0. The Red Sox are winning. Yeah, pray for rain. Time to pray for rain.
Spawn and Zing, pray for rain. Yeah. Speaking of the Celtics, we're going to have Bill Simmons on the week of April 14th. He's the executive producer of this fantastic docuseries, Celtic City. I've watched every one, and I think it is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, they've come up with some things that I just never thought were on videotape, and just some really crazy stuff that's been remarkable. So it's good. It's really good, but they had a lot to work with. On the other hand, as great as Netflix has been, I don't know why they're doing a series on the Red Sox from last year, and I don't know why they're planning to do a series on the Bruins. Do you think anybody in Louisville, Kentucky cares anything about the Boston Bruins?
No.
None.
No.
I'm just saying, and whatever.
No, I think you've got to be a dominant, like Michael Jordan, a dominant figure. That's why The Last Dance, people outside of Chicago actually cared about it.
Yeah.
And the same thing's going to happen here. Are people outside of Boston? Yes, I think they are, because I think a lot of the Celtics are the model franchise in the NBA for so many years. And I'm not sure Dynasty, which came out last year, Patriots production, I don't know if it had the same appeal that The Last Dance did with Jordan or Celtic City has.
Dynasty backfired on the Patriots in a big way.
Yes, it did.
You talk about quotes. The Robert Kraft quote he had a number of quotes about with Gonzalez, or Hernandez rather, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know what you did, but it must have been the right thing or whatever. It must have been for a good reason. And I mean, this was him on tape on his own show.
Yeah.
And, I'll find you the best lawyer I possibly can. I mean, what kind of why would anybody put that on there?
I don't know.
But that's what I'm just talking about these quotes. But you brought it up, and you're right. The dynasty was a disaster.
I have another great quote in Boston sports. We're on to Cincinnati.
Totally. And also, you and your curly-haired boyfriend, Carl Everett, up to Gordon Eads. Remember about Shaughnessy? You and your curly-haired boyfriend. On to Cincinnati was obviously a great one.
Tremendous one. Hey, how about Cold Springs RV? What do you got for me?
I got, we're talking about freedom, Mike. You and I can own our own. Let's pretend we own our own little campers, right?
Yep.
Let's pretend we went to some campground in Raymond, New Hampshire, where it seems to be, the love spot of camping world. I'm not saying it is. I'm not making a case for Raymond, New Hampshire. But the point is, you're parked, I'm parked. We can party all night if we wanted to, or we could just leave and go and drive our own wherever we want to go without any connections whatsoever. So the reality is that this is the thing to do, because Cold Springs RV has all of next year's models. They even have the torpedo bat model, but I'll show you about that in a minute. I'm going to call it the torpedo bat model, and they're arriving daily because the torpedo bat is the hottest thing, and Cold Springs RV is going to incorporate the torpedo bats into their campers. I'm not sure how. They may make it into a steering wheel, but it's going to be called a torpedo steering wheel. Tell them Lobel and Lynch sent you, and ask for the torpedo bat. Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open, and you can freely browse. You want the latest in camping, Cold Springs RV, your destination and torpedo bat destination for all things camping west of Goffstown, New Hampshire, and north of Tingsboro, Massachusetts. ColdSpringsRV.com. So we'll see you there and swing away.
All right. So, Lobel, we ask our guests this every single week. Every once in a while, we participate. If you had a week in the Lobel Lynchy cruiser driving cross country, anybody come to mind that you'd like to have riding shotgun with you?
Wow. I don't know. I don't have any friends, that many anymore. They're all past. I would take Alan Miller, my producer. Right. I would take Alan Miller. He's never let me down. Always been there. Been a rock at Gibraltar. Maybe I'd take Alice Cook, because she's the best.
When you get to her in a moment.
Yeah.
And
I'd take Alice.
You want to take Alice?
I'll take Alice.
It's a pretty good pick. We'll talk about her in a minute. Who would I take?
I don't think I asked you, but that's what I'd still like to know.
No, you're right. Right. I asked the questions on this particular one. So
I didn't
leave it at that. How's that?
Okay. No, but I want you to know who I want to know. Now I'm really curious who you'd like to take.
No, I'm not going to.
Oh no! You take. Come on! Don't be stubborn now. Don't be like a stubborn Irishman. Attaboy, come on, give in.
I think I'd like to take like Jackie Robinson.
Okay, good.
I just would like to really know firsthand. We have no idea. We're not in the shoes. We don't have the same color skin. We have no idea what they've been through, and I want to hear it firsthand. In the Cold Springs RV for 7 days driving cross country. I want to hear his story.
Good. I love it.
Is that all right?
That's better than all right.
Okay.
I'm proud of you.
All right. Let's see. All right. Let's get to Alice Cook.
Okay.
If you because you can add so much to the story. I can only add what I read in Kevin Paul DuPont's article yesterday in the Boston Globe, which was a sensational article. There's a little video about 2.5 minutes in there if you go to bostonglobe.com. And it is a sad, tragic, yet heroic story about our good friend. I worked, with her, competed with her. I always had a good time with her. We got along great. But you, Bob Lobel, have a special relationship with Alice Cook. You brought her into Boston. You brought her into Channel 4. She was a terrific reporter. She still is, and now she's in the fight of her life. Take it away, Bob.
Yeah, well, Mike, I think you said pretty much the same things I would say. I don't claim any ownership or responsibility. I met her at Channel 38. We were judging a contest for the Emmys for San Francisco maybe 30 years ago. I don't even remember how long it was, but we had an opening on a producer and a reporter, and I thought she'd be great at it. And, that was an easy decision. It wasn't mine. I just had to connect her with the news director. And that was the end of that. And she, performed tremendously. She was an Olympian at Innsbruck, a Paris figure skater. And she's run the marathon twice. She ran the background is that she went to Boston College, but grew up in Michigan. She background was that she ran the marathon when she knew she had ALS. This is a disease. She knew something was wrong, and it was a disease that's really hard to diagnose. So much I've learned about the disease, from Pete Frady's situation. Ironically, she did a story on Pete Frady's when he played baseball for Boston College. There's just so many ironies there. But she ran the marathon knowing she had ALS, and no one else basically knew it except a very close circle of friends. This was last year. She'd ran the marathon before that, so last year was the second time. And then she decided, it's amazing how she told me what she had ALS. I know she was having trouble speaking. And when I saw her, we decided we'd have lunch together, and she brought her friend from Hingham. And she handed me a card. She said, the card said, I'm having difficulty speaking. It's because I have ALS. It just knocked me down. Just almost like I couldn't believe it. I just remember handing me that card in the parking lot. So you can't, what do you say? So we went over to talk lunch, and she wrote things out on the pad, and she could talk, somewhat, and we joked around. Her sense of humor was there. She called Alice. We started talking about theories, about raising money. Alice's army, how was she going to get the story out? And DuPont did an amazing job. You're right. Amazing story. It's on Globe Online. It'll be in the paper on Sunday in the sports page. So it was just something that's hard to comprehend. I mean, hey, we all have to deal with things, but I don't think anyone ever expected to deal with that, especially an athlete of her capacity and her. She was just able to communicate. I'll never forget the Patriots. One of the Patriots, this wasn't in the story of DuPont, kind of badmouthed her because she was a woman in the locker room. And I know Stephen Starring was the one that did it. And she went to Raymond Berry, and she told him about it. And he made the whole team apologize to her. She brought the team in a circle out on the field, brought her out, and brought her in the middle of the circle and made the whole team apologize to her. It was an amazing gesture by Raymond Berry, and it was an amazing piece of strength on her to even confront the issue. So that's the kind of person she was and is. And, I'm going to take her across country in the RV. How's that?
That was a great choice. And for those of you who haven't read the story yet, Alice does have ALS. Um, she has lost her ability to speak, but technology she has an iPad, and she writes something down, and through A1 artificial intelligence, they collected all these tapes from Channel 4 of her voice, and some computer genius programmed something. So if she writes, "Hi Bob, how are you?" on the iPad, it comes out her exact voice. "Hi Bob, how are
Yeah.
you?" And it's like you had your eyes closed. Say, "Well, she's talking."
She said this thing on the phone, Mike. I swear, about a month ago with AI. She said, "Now back to you, Bob, from the Boston Garden. This is Alice Cook." It just blew me away. It just brought tears to my eyes because it was her. It was her voice saying exactly what you said. And you're right. The AI piece is huge.
It's amazing. There was and then this little videotape. You've got to see it on BostonGlobe.com. She's with her brother-in-law, whose last name was Miller. I can't remember his first name, but she writes down, and then bang, her voice comes up. She goes, "Hi everybody, I'm in the fight of my life right now, but I'm going to win." And then there's a shot of her from the rear training. She's running down some path, and she's really struggling to run. And you look at it and you say, "This is one of the most courageous things I've ever seen." She's gonna go 26.2 miles, and it may take her 24 hours, but she's gonna do it.
Yeah, she is. And it makes me really sad to hear you talk about it like that. And you really do it justice by doing it. I'm glad you brought it up. Glad you're able to describe it that way. And yeah, it'd be really helpful if you saw that. We're not asking you to send money, but obviously, it's, these things are expensive.
Yeah.
Not only for her, but for future generations.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's a GoFundMe page yet or something, but
I think there'll be plenty out there, and she'll be part of the the marathon runners themselves have turned into charity events. But this isn't a competition for the charities. This is one woman facing her battle and trying to prevent others from having to go through this.
What else can you share with us, Bob, about her struggle, about Patrick, her husband, her 3 children?
It's got to be so difficult on them, and I know that's the last thing she wanted to, as anybody would want to impose upon the people that they love, but it can't be helped. I mean, everybody wants to do the right thing, but they're not sure what the right thing is because no one's ever kind of been through this until it actually happens. And it happens all too frequently on so many different levels. But this is what she's dealing with now, and she's now shared it so that I think it's not her. This has really kind of helped her, Mike, in a way to focus away from the disease and on the goal of running the marathon and trying to be an inspiration and help others. So it's turned her focus away from poor me to what can I do? And that's a big, huge step, and it's a big, huge lesson for all of us. It's not about poor me. Hey, you had a stroke. I'm in a wheelchair. It's not about, we don't sit around and say, poor me. Well, I do once in a while. But I don't think you do. And I don't think, and the point is she doesn't. It's just the hand that we're dealt. She's dealt it. She's been dealt with it. She's dealing with it. She's known about it for 2 years, and she's trying to make the most of it. And that's all you can ask in life.
Absolutely. She said one of the things that really gave her a lift was to be able to hear her own voice again. And just to say, back to you, Bob. Back to you, Bobby. On the videotape, she's at the garden. It's probably from like early 90s or something. And she says, "Back to you, Bobby." Just like that. That's the way she talked. And it wasn't like a cute little thing. It was just, that's the way Alice would talk on the street. "Hey, Bobby, yeah, sure, I'll get a beer. I'll have one." And That's the way she was. And you've got to read this story, folks. You've got to.
Good. Good for you. I said, you know what? You can't talk and I can't walk. What's the big deal? The big deal is it's a lot more difficult for her than it is for me. I can do other things. And I think you forget how important that communication piece is until you don't have it. And I love her. I love her intensely. And you know, I want her to be able to be happy and complete and do the things that she needs to do and wants to do.
You know, we like you and I, we competed with each other, but we were always friends. And you know, the whole gang you had over, you and Numi and Rochi and Alice. And,
I offered you the job, Michael.
What's that?
Don't you remember? I asked you to come work.
You did. I was at Fenway Park, and you asked me to get a tape over to you as fast as we could. But I don't know. Your news director, like Lou Tilley, better than me, I guess.
Must have been stupid.
Well, it worked out pretty well for both of us.
Yeah, I think so.
Worked out pretty well. Hey, let me give George Gray a little plug here. I know that he's a big fan of Alice Cook and a big fan of Opening Day, and I know that I'm not out of line by telling you that George Gray will be thinking of Alice and her family. If you're thinking about a new vehicle, go where Lobel and Lynchy go. Go see our good friend George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. We've been customers for years because we know that George Gray will treat you right. They're family-owned and operated dealership that we trust and you can trust as well. So go see the big wheel, the great George Gray, we call him, at 409 at Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. Tell them that Lobel and Lynchy sent you. They take good care of you. We were over there. We get all kinds of cars. They always take good care of us, and we have good conversation while we're waiting to get our oil changed, et cetera, et cetera. And I know he's a big fan of Alice as well. So thanks, George. I
can predict, Mike, that the Red Sox are going to win big on opening day.
Were they up 6-0?
I didn't want to say that, but it's 5 actually.
5-0.
Yeah, I just predict that you didn't have to give the score. I was just going to kind of ruin my prediction.
Maybe this will be the year.
Yeah, I think that's it. Why don't we just call it? Yeah, this is going to be the year.
All right, Lobie, we'll convene at the next get-together, and there was a good chat today. Good stuff with Alice Cook. Good insight that only you could bring, and it was great. You
were extremely sharp yourself, so hang in there, buddy.
All right, pal. All right, folks. Happy April. We hopefully got the bad months behind us. Until next time, for Bob Lobel, I'm Mike Lynch, and make sure you follow us at unanchoredboston.com.